And our bodies. But first, I'm lucky I made it into work today because I got wrapped up in a podcast I couldn't stop listening to yesterday, so I need to share it with y'all. It's the newest binge-worthy true crime podcast from the award-winning creators of Down the Hill, the Delphi murders. It's called Deviant, and it dives into the dark corners of what one human being was capable of. Please welcome one of the hosts of the show, Andrew Iden. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, Kara, thanks for having me.
I told you I could not stop listening to it yesterday. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you very much.
Tell us a little bit about how this story came to you and how this podcast was born.
So I've been working in the true crime space for a long time, and I decided in 2023 that it was time to do something on my own. And so I, with one of our producers from Down the Hill and a third person, the three of us got together and put our heads together. And this story that we cover in the first season of Deviant was really something that we had always known about, but really as we got into it, we were like, this is a perfect execution in audio. So that's why we made that decision to jump in.
Was that you are a producer in the news space, so you of course are privy to what's going on.
Right.
And the story of Israel Keys we'll get to in just a second because
Sure.
I had not heard of him. But why do you think there is such a fascination with true crime?
I think it's really about an element of relatability. I think when people listen to these stories, they put themselves in the shoes of the people that go through them. And they oftentimes think, how would I react? How would I go through something like that? And it's like, we see stories about like entertainment and politics, and that's kind of a very different universe. But true crime is like everyday people,
Sure.
regular people, and how they deal with and go through these things.
Right. Okay, I just finished episode 5. How many are there in the?
There's going to be 7.
Okay, 7. So 2 more to go. It's about serial killer Israel Keys. Give the viewers some background on the case.
Sure. So this is a guy that operated for about 11 years. From 2001 to 2012 when he was arrested, and traveled the country and did some horrific things. And really kind of the analogy we use in the show is that he operated kind of like a shark under the water. And it was because he was very meticulous and very detail oriented about what he did. And that's what allowed him to elude capture and arrest for so long.
Right.
Until 2012 when he finally was arrested by authorities.
He was arrested in Texas. One of the things that struck me as I was listening to it is that you allude to it in some of the earlier episodes, but you don't really talk about how until episode 5 he was married.
Yeah.
He had a child.
Yeah.
And he says, nobody really knows me. In fact, we have a soundbite in his own words. Let's hear what Israel Keys had to say in the podcast.
Right now, there is no one who knows me or who has ever known me who knows anything about me, really. They know they're going to tell you something that does not line up with anything I tell you because I'm 2 different people, basically. And the only person who knows about what I'm telling you, the kind of things I'm telling you, is me.
You do a really good job of putting together the sort of missing pieces, but you also say that's one of the hardest things about this case is there are so many missing pieces still.
Yeah, because, he alluded to upon his death that there were a number of other victims that law enforcement hadn't nailed down. And so what the FBI and what the people that are in charge of this case are trying to do now is try to piece together what they can glean about what he did. He is long gone. But all they have is the stuff that he's left behind in the words. And so there's like a lot of analysis and, picking through all of that to figure out what do we still don't know about this guy?
And as a producer, a host, a podcaster, when you're listening to all of that and you're putting together this story so it makes whatever kind of sense it can make to me, the listener,
Right.
Are you cracking some of the case too? Are you trying to figure out some of the missing pieces?
Part of our show is trying to figure out, the question we always ask is how far did he go? And it's a huge spider web, and one we've been trying to connect dots on for the last year at this point. And so we are still in, the show is out, but we are still in the process of trying to put pieces together.
Yeah.
And as soon as we have some of those, obviously that'll be in the show.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to listening to the last 2 episodes. It's fascinating, it's thrilling, it's terrifying. What can we look forward to? What's your next project that you're working on, Andrew?
So we're going to do, once we're finished with Israel Keys, we're going to move on to another story that kind of fits that deviant mold. I think listeners that like the story about Israel Keys will like the next story. There's a lot of similarities. But there's also a lot of differences, and so we don't want to get too pigeonholed. We want to try on different things, but Deviant is kind of the theme that is the through line of all of those.
All right, Andrew, thank you for being here. I so appreciate you sharing your talent with us, and your storytelling is truly riveting. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
All right, well, you can find Deviant anywhere you get your podcast, and don't miss out on their upcoming episodes. All right, switching gears.